The hiss of the escape pod's airlock breaking the silence was the first sound Elias heard as he crash-landed on Zaloria. Stumbling out into the alien terrain, his gaze met a surreal landscape of luminous flora and towering crystalline structures. Before he could get his bearings, a group of Zalorian patrols surrounded him, their varied and vibrant forms a stark contrast to his plain human features. "State your identity and purpose," demanded one of the aliens, stepping forward. His voice was firm, and his multiple eyes flickered with a mix of curiosity and caution. "My name is Elias," he responded, brushing the dust off his spacesuit. "I'm a researcher, lost and off course. I mean no harm." The alien, who introduced himself as Commander Vec, seemed to relax slightly. "A human far from known space. Curious," he muttered, then signaled to the others. "Bring him. He must speak to the council." As they escorted him through a city of shimmering lights and bizarre, harmonious structures, Elias caught sight of another human-like figure observing him from a distance. The figure, a tall male with striking features, soon approached. "You're a long way from home, human," he said, his accent smooth and oddly familiar. "I'm Lauren. Like you, not native here, but making a life on Zaloria." Elias nodded, grateful for a seemingly friendly face. "Elias, crashed here by accident. Any advice?" "Stay calm, speak truthfully, and show respect," Lauren replied as they walked side by side. "The council is fair but stern. They'll decide your fate here." Upon reaching a grand hall, Elias was presented before the council. The chamber was filled with representatives of various alien races, each more unique than the last. Vec spoke first, recounting the circumstances of Elias's arrival. Elder Jorin, a wise and serene figure, then addressed Elias. "You arrive unannounced at a delicate time," he stated. "What can you offer Zaloria in exchange for our hospitality?" Elias thought for a moment, aware of the many eyes fixed on him. "Knowledge," he finally said. "I have studied many worlds and species. Perhaps my understanding and observations could be of use to you." "Interesting," murmured a council member. "And in return, what do you seek?" "Sanctuary, guidance, friends, perhaps," Elias admitted, his voice steady despite the uncertainty that gnawed at him. The council murmured amongst themselves. Then Elder Jorin nodded slightly. "Very well. We shall deliberate on this. In the meantime, Lauren will guide you through our customs and help you understand our ways." As the meeting adjourned, Lauren clapped Elias on the back. "Come, let's get you something to eat. You look like you could use a good meal and a friend." "Thank you," Elias replied, relief washing over him. He followed Lauren out of the council chamber, his mind racing with the possibilities of what lay ahead. The chance encounter had suddenly woven him into the fabric of this alien world, and for the first time since he'd crashed, he felt a flicker of excitement about what the future might hold. Chapter 2. A Delicate Alliance. Elias followed Lauren through the bustling streets of Zaloria, each turn and corner presenting a new marvel. The city was a vibrant mix of alien architecture and lively markets, with beings from various planets mingling and trading. "So, Elias, what brought you to our corner of the galaxy?" "Truly an accident," Lauren asked as they navigated through the crowd. "It was," Elias replied, adjusting to the flow of the crowd. "My research vessel was hit by a rogue asteroid. The escape pod brought me here." Lauren nodded, pointing to a small eatery nestled between two glowing structures. "Let's grab a bite. You can tell me more about this research of yours." As they sat down at a table, Elias noticed the diverse clientele, from scaled traders to feathered scholars, all coexisting peacefully. He turned his attention back to Lauren, who was keenly observing him. "I study civilizations," Elias began. "How different species adapt and thrive together. Seems I've crash-landed in a relevant field site." Lauren chuckled, passing him a local delicacy. "You might say that Zaloria is a hub for many cultures. You'll find no better place for your interests." As they ate, a tall, wiry figure approached their table. "Lauren, Who's your friend? He asked in a tone that was both commanding and curious. This is Elias, a human. Elias, meet Tecker, one of our prominent engineers, Lauren introduced. Tecker's eyes brightened with interest. A human, rare indeed. What do you make of our technology? I'm impressed, Elias admitted, looking around at the advanced tech that seemed integrated into every aspect of life. I believe there's much we can learn from each other. Perhaps we can show you some of our projects, Tecker suggested. There's much to be gained from fresh perspectives. The trio spent the afternoon touring various technological hubs. Tecker and Lauren explained their advances in energy and infrastructure, which fascinated Elias. He shared his knowledge of human technologies and theories, sparking lively discussions and ideas. As the day turned to evening, they returned to the Central District, where Lauren had one more introduction to make. Meet Mira, our lead scientist in interspecies relations, Lauren said, gesturing towards a female figure who approached with a warm smile. Pleased to meet you, Elias, Mira said. I've heard you're sharing quite some insights from your world. Trying to, Elias replied, smiling. Every conversation here opens up new avenues of thought. If you're open to it, we could use a consultant like you on a project aimed at improving our diplomatic protocols, Mira offered. Elias considered the offer, intrigued by the prospect. I'd be honored to contribute. It seems my unexpected journey might have a purpose after all. Great, Mira exclaimed. Let's meet tomorrow to discuss this further. There's a lot we can accomplish together. As Elias and Lauren walked back to his temporary quarters, Elias felt a sense of belonging. Despite being light years from home, the connections he was forging here might just be the key to understanding not only this alien society but also his own species a bit better. Thanks for today, Lauren, Elias said, genuinely grateful. It's not every day one crash lands into a new world and is welcomed so warmly. Lauren grinned. Who knows, Elias? Zaloria might just become your new home. Elias laughed, looking up at the starry sky, contemplating the possibilities that lay ahead. Chapter 3, The Gathering Storm. The news of Elias's arrival and his unique skills had begun to ripple across the various sectors of Zaloria. In a discreet corner of a bustling cafe, Elias met with Tecker and Mira to discuss their project more deeply, but their conversation was interrupted by an unexpected visitor. May I join you? A deep voice interjected. Standing beside their table was a tall, imposing figure with a stern expression and attire that marked him as a member of the Galactic Diplomatic Corps. Elias, this is Corvin, our liaison with the Galactic Council, Mira introduced. Corvin, Elias has been offering some fascinating insights into human diplomatic strategies. Corvin nodded, taking a seat. I've heard reports of your contributions, Elias. While some in the galaxy view humans with skepticism, others believe your presence here could signify a shift in interstellar dynamics. Elias met Corvin's gaze, recognizing the weight of his words. I'm here in peace, hoping to share knowledge and foster understanding, he replied earnestly. Good intentions, Corvin mused. Yet, we must consider the broader implications. Your insights could be invaluable, or they could unsettle delicate balances. As they spoke, Lauren approached with another figure in tow. Friends, this is Jalen, an old companion and a traitor among star systems. He brings news from the outer sectors. Jalen, a rugged figure with a charismatic smile, greeted them warmly. It seems the human's fame is spreading faster than light, he joked before turning serious. But seriously, Elias, your arrival has sparked interest and concern in equal measure across the stars. Elias listened intently as Jalen detailed the varying reactions from different alien communities. Some admired the humans' reputed adaptability and ingenuity. Others feared potential disruptions to the established order. We must navigate this carefully, Tecker chimed in, his engineer's mind always looking for solutions. Perhaps, Elias, you could attend some of the council meetings, demonstrate your intentions through transparency. An excellent idea, Mira supported. Show them who you are, not just what you represent. Elias nodded, understanding the task ahead. I'm willing to meet with anyone who has concerns. We can find common ground. The group spent the rest of the day crafting a plan for Elias to engage with various factions within the Galactic Council. They agreed on a series of informal talks, workshops, and demonstrations that would allow Elias to showcase human culture and technological advancements in a non-threatening way. As the meeting concluded, Corvin pulled Elias aside. You're walking a tightrope, Elias, but your unique position might just be what the galaxy needs to rethink its old prejudices and perhaps chart a course towards a more inclusive future. Thank you, Corvin, Elias said, feeling the gravity of his role. I'll do my best. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of activity. Elias, with the help of his new friends, prepared detailed presentations on human history, philosophy, and technology. He engaged in discussions that were at times challenging and at others deeply rewarding. Through it all, Elias was struck by the common desires shared across species: peace, stability, and progress. Each meeting, each conversation brought new understanding and slowly changed perceptions. As Elias retired to his quarters one evening after a particularly strenuous session, he reflected on the journey ahead. The challenges were significant, but the potential for meaningful change was real. With the support of his Zalorian friends and the growing respect from the galactic community, he felt ready to face whatever came next. Chapter 4: Under the Stars. After weeks of intense diplomatic engagements, Elias found himself in need of a reprieve. Tekker, sensing his friend's weariness, suggested an evening away from the city. There's a place I know, not far from here. It's serene under the Zalorian night sky, Tekker proposed, a knowing smile on his face. Elias welcomed the idea. Together with Tekker and Lauren, they ventured out of the bustling urban center to a quiet hillside overlooking the illuminated cityscape and the sprawling wilderness beyond. The landscape under the twin moons of Zaloria was breathtaking, the sky awash with swirling nebulas and bright stars. As they settled down, Lauren handed Elias a local beverage, its aroma rich and calming. You've been holding up well, Elias. Not everyone can step into such a role with such ease, Lauren commented, stretching out on the soft ground. Thanks, Lauren. It's been challenging, but I'm not in this alone, Elias replied, his gaze fixed on the stars. I've had great teachers, he added, nodding towards Tekker. Tekker chuckled. We've learned plenty from you too, Elias. It's a two-way street. The conversation drifted to lighter topics, from tales of their respective home worlds to adventurous exploits in the galaxy. Elias listened intently to Lauren and Tekker's stories of Zaloria before the establishment of the Galactic Council, marveling at how much had changed. You know, Elias, seeing the galaxy through your eyes, it's refreshing. It reminds us of the wonder we often take for granted, Tekker said thoughtfully, his eyes reflecting the starlight. It's easy to be in awe of this place, Elias admitted, looking around. Back on Earth, we dream of starlit skies like this one. The three continued talking late into the night, their laughter echoing softly in the stillness. It was a moment of camaraderie that transcended species and origin, grounded in shared experiences and mutual respect. As the night deepened, Elias found himself reflecting aloud. Back home, there's a saying, under the same stars, different worlds. I always thought it spoke of the physical distance, but now, I think it's more about perspectives. Perspectives, Lauren mused. That's a powerful notion. Maybe that's what the galaxy needs. A shift in perspective. Yes, Elias agreed. If we can see the commonalities before the differences, perhaps there's hope for a more united galaxy. Tekker nodded, pointing to a particularly bright star on the horizon. See that star? It's been a guide for Zalorian explorers for generations. Maybe, Elias, you're like that star for us. A guide towards a new way of thinking. Feeling humbled and motivated, Elias looked up, his resolve strengthened. Then let's ensure this journey we're on shines light on new paths, not just for us here, but for all in the galaxy. As the night waned, the trio made their way back to the city, their spirits lifted. The night under the stars had not only provided a necessary break, but also reaffirmed their purpose. They returned to their duties with renewed vigor, ready to tackle the challenges ahead with the wisdom of shared perspectives. Chapter 5: Betrayal. The camaraderie of the previous evening's stargazing still lingered as Elias returned to his tasks. However, the harmony was abruptly disrupted when Elias received a secretive communication. The message was terse, urging him to meet at an undisclosed location on the outskirts of the city. The sender was unknown, but the urgency in the message was clear. Elias shared his concerns with Tecker and Lauren. "I'm not sure who sent this or why. It doesn't feel right," Elias confessed, looking over the digital missive again. "We'll go with you," Lauren immediately offered, his protective instincts kicking in. "If this is a trap, you won't face it alone." Tecker agreed, and together, they ventured to the specified coordinates. The location was secluded, an abandoned warehouse district that was rarely frequented by regular citizens. As they approached, they were ambushed. A group of armed figures emerged from the shadows, their leader stepping forward. He was a well-known mercenary, recognized for his ruthless tactics. "Elias, you've become quite the celebrity. Some people are very interested in your perspectives," the mercenary sneered. Before Elias could respond, Lauren and Tecker reacted. "What do you want?" Tecker demanded, positioning himself defensively in front of Elias. "Simple. You're going to help us with a little problem. Refuse, and we can make things very unpleasant." The mercenary threatened, gesturing to his armed companions. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Elias tried to de-escalate. "Let's talk about this. There's no need for violence," he proposed, his voice calm. The mercenary laughed. "I was hoping you'd be reasonable. Come with us quietly. Your friends stay here. They won't be harmed if you cooperate." With a heavy heart and to protect his friends, Elias agreed. As he was taken away, he looked back at Lauren and Tecker, his eyes conveying a silent apology. Lauren and Tecker, once the mercenaries had disappeared with Elias, quickly planned their next move. "We need to track them. Get him back without escalating the situation," Lauren stated. Using their connections and tech skills, they managed to locate Elias and his captors at a fortified outpost. They observed the area, planning their rescue. "We go in smart. Avoid confrontation," Tecker advised. They utilized stealth technology to infiltrate the outpost, avoiding guards and disabling security systems as they went. Inside, Elias was being interrogated. The mercenary wanted information on council defenses and diplomatic strategies, intending to sell the secrets to rival factions. As the tension in the room grew, Elias noticed a slight disruption in the outpost's lighting system. Hope surged. Lauren and Tecker were close. The moment the guards were distracted by another flicker of lights, Lauren and Tecker burst into the room. A swift, non-lethal confrontation ensued, with Lauren and Tecker expertly neutralizing the mercenaries. Elias was quickly freed, and together, they made their escape, covering their tracks to avoid drawing further attention. Once safe, Elias embraced his friends, grateful and relieved. "Thank you, both of you. I thought I could handle the situation alone, but I was wrong." Lauren clapped him on the shoulder. "We're in this together, Elias." Today proved that. Back at their headquarters, the trio reported the incident to the council, explaining the potential threat to peace. The council was alarmed but thankful for their quick actions. As they debriefed, Elias reflected on the day's harrowing events. The betrayal was a stark reminder of the precariousness of his position within the galaxy. Yet, the unwavering support from Lauren and Tecker reassured him that he wasn't alone in his quest for unity and peace. Together, they strengthened their resolve to continue their diplomatic efforts, now more aware of the dangers they faced, but also of the strong bonds they had forged. Chapter 6: The Rescue. As Elias paced inside the mercenaries' improvised stronghold, he could feel tension mounting. They hadn't physically harmed him. Not yet, but their threats and relentless questioning were wearing him down. The leader, a towering figure with mottled gray skin and piercing golden eyes, sneered at Elias from across the room. "You're not fooling anyone," the mercenary growled. "We know you've been working with the Zalorians on something big. Tell us about their plans." How are they consolidating power? What's their next move? Elias shook his head. I've already told you. I'm a researcher, not a strategist. I study cultures, not military maneuvers. Funny how you keep saying that, yet you're in the middle of their most sensitive councils. The leader replied, leaning forward, his voice low and menacing. You're going to talk, human. It's only a matter of time. Before Elias could respond, the lights in the room flickered. It was subtle, barely noticeable, but Elias's heart quickened. He knew Lauren and Tecker would try to find him. He had to keep these mercenaries distracted long enough for them to act. I don't think you understand humans, Elias said calmly, forcing a confident tone. We're stubborn. If you think you can scare me into handing over information I don't even have, you're wasting your time. The mercenary leader smirked, clearly unconvinced. We'll see. Meanwhile, Lauren and Tecker were outside, using advanced Zalorian tech to disable the perimeter defenses. Lauren, crouched behind a crate, whispered into his comm, "The East Guard post is down. Let's move." "Copy," Tecker replied. "Remember, no lethal force. We're not here to start a war, just to bring Elias home." The two moved swiftly and silently through the compound's exterior. Tecker's technical skills were invaluable, allowing them to bypass several locked doors without triggering alarms. Once inside, they navigated the dimly lit corridors, guided by a map they'd pieced together from intercepted transmissions. Inside the interrogation room, Elias kept talking. "You think you can sell me out to the highest bidder, but what happens when the council finds out? Do you really think they'll let you get away with this?" "Let them come," the mercenary leader snarled. "Having some technical difficulties. Maybe you should check on that." "Shut up," the leader barked. "We've got it under control." But they didn't. Lauren and Tecker burst into the room just as the lights dimmed further. Lauren took out the guards flanking Elias with a well-placed non-lethal pulse, while Tecker neutralized the leader's weapon with a gadget that fried its circuitry. "Elias, let's go," Lauren called, helping him to his feet. "You're late," Elias said with a half-smile, though his relief was evident. "You're welcome," Tecker quipped as he disabled the last of the room's security sensors. The three made their way out, keeping low and quiet. With the mercenaries scrambling to regain control of their systems, the trio slipped through the compound's weak points and disappeared into the wilderness. Back in a secure location, Elias slumped into a chair, visibly exhausted. "Thanks," he said, his voice heavy with gratitude. "I don't know how I would have gotten out of there alone." "You weren't alone," Lauren replied firmly. "We weren't going to let them keep you." Tecker nodded. "We're a team, Elias. Next time, don't get yourself caught." Elias laughed lightly, despite the situation. "I'll do my best." The ordeal had shaken them all, but it also reinforced the trust between them. Together, they had faced danger and emerged stronger. As the night wore on, they began discussing their next steps, determined to ensure no such threat would ever catch them off guard again. Chapter 7, United Front. Back on Zaloria, the council chamber buzzed with subdued whispers as Elias, Lauren, and Tecker entered. The counselors, representing various species, turned their attention to the trio, their expressions ranging from concern to guarded curiosity. It was time to address the aftermath of the mercenary incident and lay the groundwork for a unified effort moving forward. Elder Jorin rose from his seat at the central podium. "Elias, we have heard of the events surrounding your abduction. It seems that your presence here continues to stir tensions beyond our borders. Explain to us, why should we continue to support your endeavors?" Elias stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "I understand your concerns. My arrival has attracted attention, and with it, complications. But those complications also reveal a crucial truth. The galaxy is watching us. This is our chance to show that cooperation between different worlds, different species, is not only possible but beneficial for everyone involved." One of the counselors, a tall reptilian figure, leaned forward. "You speak of cooperation, human, yet your presence has brought danger to our doorstep. How do we know these alliances you propose will not make us a target for more such attacks? Before Elias could respond, Lauren interjected. With respect, Counselor, this attack wasn't because of alliances. It happened because there's still mistrust and fear. By working together, we can reduce those fears and build trust. The mercenaries exploited uncertainty. Let's not give them that opportunity again. Tecker chimed in, his tone steady. And we're not just talking theory. Elias has already shared strategies that can strengthen our defenses without resorting to violence. If we unite, we can prevent these incidents before they occur. Elder Jorin considered their words, the chamber falling silent as he deliberated. Finally, he addressed the council. The events of the past weeks have shown us that standing alone is no longer an option. If we isolate ourselves, we remain vulnerable. If we unite, we become stronger, not through force, but through understanding and shared knowledge. Several counselors nodded, though a few still appeared hesitant. Seeing this, Elias took a step closer. I don't come here to impose my ways or ideals. I'm here to learn as much as I am to share. This isn't about me. It's about us. About proving that different species can work together to solve problems that affect us all. The chamber erupted into a low murmur as the counselors debated among themselves. Finally, one of them, a shorter insectoid being, spoke up. If we are to consider this united front, then we must do so carefully. Elias, you will help oversee the establishment of a cultural exchange program. Lauren, Tecker, you will coordinate with our security teams to prevent further disruptions. If this is to work, we must all play our parts. Elias nodded, feeling a mix of relief and determination. I'll do everything I can. As the council session adjourned, Elias, Lauren, and Tecker left the chamber together. Outside, the city's bustling streets and glowing towers reminded them of the work that still lay ahead. Lauren clapped Elias on the back. Well, that went better than expected. But now the hard part begins. Tecker nodded. Yeah, it's one thing to talk about unity. Making it happen? That's where we'll see what we're really made of. Elias smiled faintly. Then we'd better get to it. If we can show them that cooperation isn't just an ideal but a practical reality, we'll have a chance to make something lasting. The three walked down the street, discussing their next steps. Plans to set up new workshops, organize joint training exercises, and bring together leaders from other worlds. As they talked, the faint glow of the Zalorian sky overhead served as a quiet reminder of the vastness of the galaxy and the endless possibilities waiting within it. Chapter 8. A New Dawn. The council hall was filled to capacity. Representatives of every species on Zaloria gathered for the culmination of weeks of negotiation. On the central stage stood Elias, Lauren, Tecker, and Mira, their diverse group a symbol of the progress they'd made. The room buzzed with anticipation as Elder Jorin rose, his presence commanding attention. We stand here today on the brink of something new, Jorin began, his voice steady. The arrival of Elias brought uncertainty, but it also brought us opportunity. Together, we have worked to turn that opportunity into a shared vision, one that challenges us to think differently, to act as one despite our differences. Elias stepped forward, his hands resting lightly on the podium. When I first arrived, I never imagined we'd reach this point. I was a stranger, an outsider who knew little of your ways. But through the friendships I've formed and the lessons I've learned, I've come to see that our strengths lie in our willingness to collaborate and to trust. Lauren leaned into the microphone, his voice a calm counterpoint to Elias's. What we've built here isn't just a pact on paper. It's a foundation for something greater. We've seen how working together, sharing knowledge and ideas, can create solutions none of us could achieve alone. Tecker nodded, speaking next. Unity isn't about erasing our differences. It's about recognizing that those differences are what make us stronger. Each of us brings something unique to the table: technology, culture, perspectives. And when we combine them, the possibilities are endless. The audience listened intently, their expressions a mix of curiosity and cautious optimism. Mira, always eloquent and measured, took her turn. Change is never easy, and we have many challenges ahead. But today, we take the first steps toward a future where cooperation, not competition, defines our relationships. This is not the end of our journey. It's the beginning. As the four stepped back, Elder Jorin raised his hands. Let us formalize what we have started. A new coalition, a shared commitment to peace, progress, and understanding. Together, we will face the uncertainties of tomorrow with the strength of our combined efforts. Applause filled the hall, a wave of sound that echoed off the high ceilings. Elias glanced at Lauren, who smiled faintly. Well, Lauren said, his voice low. Looks like your crash landing was the best thing to happen to Zaloria in a long time. Elias chuckled softly. Who knew I'd end up giving speeches about unity? Not exactly how I pictured my research trip. Mira joined them, her expression one of quiet satisfaction. You might not have planned it, Elias, but it's a good thing you're here. This is just the start. There's so much more we can accomplish now that the first steps have been taken. Tecker, ever the pragmatist, added, let's not forget the work ahead. Forming an alliance is one thing. Keeping it strong is another. But at least now we've shown them it's possible. As the assembly began to break up, representatives lingered to exchange ideas, to speak with newfound allies and old rivals alike. The atmosphere was one of cautious optimism, a shift from the tense, uncertain days when Elias first arrived. Outside, the four stood together under the twin moons, the city's lights stretching out below them. Elias looked at each of his friends in turn. We've done something good here. I don't know where this path leads, but I'm glad to be walking it with all of you. Lauren grinned, slapping Elias on the back. And we're glad to have you, human. The conversation turned lighter as they made their way back into the city. Plans for future meetings and initiatives were discussed, but so were jokes about who had the best taste in food, the wildest stories from their respective worlds, and which council member had been the hardest to convince. By the time they reached the city square, it was clear to Elias that what they'd built was more than an alliance. It was a friendship, one that would carry them through whatever lay ahead. The galaxy might still be watching, still unsure, but for now, there was hope that they'd started something meaningful. And that, Elias thought, was worth all the effort.